Hello, I again welcome you to this channel. In this video, we are going to look at copy and paste. I am Nelson. Please follow and click the notification button for live notifications. And first of all, in the graphical user interface, we can do this by simply using the graphical user interface. An example here is I can go to this directory, then we try out this file trial.txt. We have this information in this file. We can select this recursive backtracking and then we press Ctrl C. We open a new file by simply pressing Ctrl N, and after opening up a new blank page, then we press Ctrl V to paste the recursive backtracking. As you can see, we can also use the mouse for this by simply navigating to anything you want to copy. An example is how the algorithm thinks, and we select this sentence and we select this. After selecting this, we can right click your mouse. After right clicking, you say copy. After copying, then you go to this new document and you hover to where your cursor is and you right click. After right clicking, you press paste, and as you can see, we have done copy and paste. But this all can be done using the terminal. And how can we do this? We can just dive deeper into the terminal and we say Ctrl Alt and T to open up the terminal. And after entering the terminal, we navigate to this directory called Practical Cybersecurity. And after navigating to this directory, we list the contents of this directory, and we have these 4 files. As you can see, we are going to do some copying and pasting. First of all, we have these files. When we try opening all of them, cat_cyber.txt doesn't have any content. Then we say cat practical.txt. This one has some content, cybersecurity, this content. Then we say cat security.txt, and this one has this content, security.txt. When you look at the cyber.txt, it does not have any content. And we open cat test.txt. This also doesn't have any content in it. So here we are going to do some copy and pasting. We are first of all going to copy the contents of security.txt to the file cyber.txt. We simply go to the help menu of this command. They give you some information about this command and some of its switches you can use. We are going to try some of these switches, and the help switch we have done, and this version switch you can also try it on your own. You can try it out and you see what it outputs in your system. And after trying out this version switch on the cp command in the Linux environment, you can please comment with whatever result you obtained as a version of your command in your system. We said we are going to deal with the security.txt file first. We are copying contents of security.txt file to cyber.txt. How do we do this? In our menu page, we see that cp is copy files and directories. This cp can copy any file or directory or file contents into another file. We can say cp security.txt then cyber.txt. Since this security.txt is a file, we are telling Linux copy the contents of security.txt as our source file into the destination cyber.txt. That's what we are telling Linux. After that, we press enter. Then we say cat cyber.txt. Now you can see. If we also say cat security.txt, you see that these files have the same content now because we have simply copied the contents of security.txt into cyber.txt. We can try something else by saying cp. We can first say cat test.txt. This file is also empty. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to say copy security.txt to test.txt. Then we press enter. After that we say cat test.txt, and then we say cat security.txt. You see, at first this security.txt file was empty, but now since we've said copy the contents of security.txt to test.txt, now it has this content. That is how we can copy contents of a file to another file. And now we are going to try to copy some directories. We can name a directory called cyber as our new directory. Then we make another directory as test and we press enter. If we can list the contents, we now have cyber as a directory and test as a directory. We want to copy a directory into another directory. We are now going to copy a file into a subdirectory. As the cyber directory, we can list, and as we list this, it is empty. But now it doesn't have any file within it. What we are going to do is that we are going to copy this file cyber.txt into this subdirectory called cyber by simply saying cp cyber.txt is our source, then to cyber as our subdirectory, then we press enter. Here we have told Linux copy the whole file cyber.txt from its name and the extension to its contents, copy them to the subdirectory called cyber. And as we list this subdirectory again, we see we have this file. If we try to open this file, now you see it has this content because we have simply copied the whole file from its name, extension and all its content into this subdirectory. Here we said we have some two subdirectories, the cyber, which now has some content of the cyber.txt file. As you can see, cat cyber.txt, it has this content. If we try listing this subdirectory doesn't have anything. Now we're going to simply say cp test.txt is our source, then to the destination, the subdirectory test, then we press enter. After pressing enter, cat test, then test.txt. These are the contents of this file test.txt. This subdirectory test into the subdirectory cyber. We are going to do this by saying cp test as our source, then to cyber as our destination. Now we are copying a whole subdirectory into another subdirectory in this main directory called practical cyber security. So when you look at a directory, sometimes a directory can have more subdirectories below it, because remember this cat security.txt has this content for which we copied this content into the file cyber.txt. If we say cat cyber.txt, they have similar content. What the cp command does is that it replicates this content of security.txt and copy and pastes it into the file cyber.txt, but the original content remains in the file, is not deleted. A copy command may not be able to replicate a whole directory because it is assumed that any directory in Linux may contain other files and subdirectories within it. When we are dealing with a copy command and we want to move this test subdirectory into cyber directory, what we do, if we run cp test into cyber and say enter, it is going to give us an error. Why? Because simply running cp without anything else and the source and the destination, cp alone cannot copy the directory and all its contents into another directory, and that's why we see this error message saying cp -r not specified, omitting directory test. So this cp command has omitted this copying because the copy command, the cp command alone cannot copy the whole directory with its contents into another directory. That is why it gave us an error. But if we want to move this test subdirectory into cyber, what we do, we use a -r switch. We use a -r switch with the cp command. We can go and see what -r does by simply typing cp and help, and we look for -r in our switches. -r simply means copy directories recursively. So when we want to move the test into cyber, we simply say cp -r test as the source into cyber as the destination, and we press enter. And after that, we can list the contents of this directory. Remember, now you see we still have the test and we have cyber, because remember I said the cp command replicates. Now we list the cyber directory. We have the cyber.txt and the test directory. We can also list the test directory by simply saying cyber then test, and you see we have this test. The -r helps the cp command to copy the whole subdirectory and all its contained other subdirectories and some files into another one major directory you want to move it to. And that's what we have simply done, and that is the work of the -r. We can also try this verbal switch. This verbal switch simply just gives us some information as we are doing the copying. When we say cp then -v practical and then new.txt, this is what the -v does. It almost tells us what is happening in the background. It says we are copying the contents of this file into this file, and once we open this file new.txt, similar content to practical.txt, because we have simply used a -v to get this prompt. I would like you to please like, share, comment, and also subscribe to this channel, as you help us reach many as possible. In the next video, we are going to look at the move command in the Linux environment. Thank you.